everyone, and welcome to another episode of Writing Unalone, Open Literary Love Letters with me, Monica Prince. I am so excited to share these love letters with you because they are all in support of my forthcoming choreopoem, Roadmap. Roadmap focuses on a young Black man navigating his most likely cause of death, which, according to the CDC, will be homicide. And if you don't know, now you know. And if you want to buy the book, you totally can. Make sure you do it right now. Pre-order it wherever books are sold. Today's particular open literary love letter is for actually a former student of mine. This love letter is for the excellent Marquise Richards. Marquise Richards was a student of mine back in years ago at Susquehanna when I first came to Susquehanna. And this love letter is for him because he was a very active member on campus, and he was very, very, very dedicated to bringing the Black men on campus together in community and men of color in general. What I appreciate about Marquise is that he actually introduced me to the film The Mask You Live In, which was a film that came out in like 2016 or 17, I think, maybe 18, that focused on how masculinity is actually a harmful force for men and boys. I know that sounds a little strange because the idea is that masculinity is kind of the point versus whatever, but specifically they're talking about societal expectations of masculinity and how that informs the way we treat men and boys and how they treat themselves. This particular movie actually taught me a lot about depression and how depression shows up in men of color. Men in general, but specifically men of color, and even more specifically, Black men. Marquise led a discussion after showing a section of this movie to a group of people, and they talked about how depression doesn't look the same as it does in women. So many of you think that depression, in its like truest form, looks like sadness, lots of crying, staying in bed, unable to do anything, like low mood, very somber, melancholy, that sort of energy. Yeah, that makes total sense. But in Black men, it actually shows up a little differently. Depression in Black men actually shows up as aggression and hyperactivity, even violence. And we kind of dismiss it, not as depression. We dismiss it as like boys are being boys, or they're just, they just need to get some energy out, so on and so forth. And because the Black community has a tendency to internalize white supremacy slash racism, we have a tendency to just assume that, of course, Black men are aggressive, even though we know that that's not necessarily a good stereotype. Because of this, we're actually very likely to not pinpoint signs of depression in Black men and boys. This can lead to problems, obviously, because then eventually the violence, the hyperaggression, et cetera, that turns into the other symptoms of depression that we actually can tell: the sadness, the crying, the isolation, never getting out of bed, et cetera, et cetera. I bring all this up because identifying those types of behaviors in young boys and adults can actually limit the likelihood that they will self-harm and limit the likelihood that they will actually go through with a suicide attempt, because men, unfortunately, are more likely to be successful when they attempt suicide than women. That's a really horrible statistic. I'm really grateful for Marquise for giving me that information, but also for helping me better understand how I can identify depressive traits in my students. This has changed the way that I teach, and it has changed the way that I interact with my students on an advising level and an informal advising level, face-to-face, in person, in classes, and outside the classroom. I am so grateful for getting that on my radar, and also for the work that Marquise continues to do to support the mental health of Black men all over the world. Thank you, Marquise, for what you've done. You are a wonderful, excellent role model for the rest of us. We can all hope to follow in your footsteps. That's it for today, everybody. So, you know what you got to do. You know what I'm going to tell you to do. It's the same thing every time. What are you going to do? You're going to pre-order Roadmap. You're going to do it today. You're going to do it right now. So on July 1st, you have your copy in hand. I am so excited to share this with you. I cannot wait until it happens. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow.